I respect what Lewis tried to do with the opening to this, but it's far better when I just go off the cuff. I'm still gonna, make the reference, but I will take my own credit for it, thank you very much. I'm Sam from R-CADE Glasgow. Today we're talking about the top 5 video games that bombed on release and made a staggering comeback. This could be because overhype in the development process, it could be because of mistakes on opening weekend, it could be because of controversy surrounding the content of the game. All will be explored, all will be analysed, and all will end up with a top 5 that you can read with your eyes. That's how reading works, except you won't be reading because I'll be presenting it to you. I'm going to keep all this in. Don't call it Don't call it a comeback. They've been here for years. Number 5, Destiny. Coming from game giants Bungie, responsible for the Halo series, in collaboration with Activision, Destiny arrived on the scene from good stock and equally good expectations. Prior to its release, there was a lot of expectations for the new IP. Bungie had just recently cut ties with Microsoft and signed a 10-year deal with Activision. All their cards were on the table for this first release of the new partnership. Although the shared world FPS received rave reviews for its gunplay, a lack of substance to the sizzle of its story, as well as a repetitive gameplay loop, meant that some alpha and beta testers were concerned. Said concerns became a reality upon release, where despite being the most pre-ordered game in Activision's history, it failed to create a dedicated fan base of players. That was until the third DLC released, The Taken King, where Bungie completely overhauled how the story progressed, as well as adding several quality of life improvements overall. Now, with storied lore and an in-depth universe that fans can lap up if that's what they're interested in, the game has only gone from strength to strength since 2014. Number 4, Fortnite. Fortnite wasn't always the battle royale game that it's universally known as today. Originally it was a tower defense game with the same building mechanics, where you as the player had to defend yourself from hordes of zombies and save the world. While said building mechanic was considered to be really unique, there were a lot of criticisms upon release for being very repetitive and buggy, not unlike many of the other games on this list. Following high levels of investment from Chinese tech company Tencent, however, the game was completely revamped, capitalising on the popularity of growing battle royale games, mainly that of PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. As a result, the game that we know about today was formed from the ashes of its previous incarnation, like a beautiful, horrific phoenix. This shift was major not only in creating a wider popularity for the Battle Royale genre, but also increasing the coffers at Tencent, with over $9 billion gross for Fortnite between 2018 and 2019 because of the microtransactions built in for cosmetics. Love it or hate it, Fortnite has definitely made waves and will go down in the history of video games. It's something that developed a huge level of popularity for cross-platform gaming and is regularly amongst the top played games on Twitch. Number 3, EAs Star Wars Battlefront 2. The original Star Wars Battlefront 2 was a classic for the PlayStation 2 and deserved to have its legacy continued in earnest. If you want to know why that didn't happen, go and check out our top 5 cancelled games video. Despite moderate acclaim for the initial release of EA's Star Wars Battlefront, aside from notes that there was a lack of content upon release, there was a lot riding on the shoulders of the new Star Wars game developer to produce a game that was both true to the spirit of the original, as well as being entertaining for modern video game players. EA had already had to cancel several Star Wars licensed games to begin with, and the initial release of Star Wars Battlefront 2 wasn't doing anything for their reputation. The gameplay was average, but the real pressure point from fans was the built-in pay-to-win mechanics, which totally ruined any opportunity for progression outside of spending additional money on the game. The biggest example of this was the number of credits required to purchase Darth Vader as an in-game playable character. Various different outlets crunched numbers and found that it was impossible to get Vader without spending additional money on the game. No level of dedication to the game was going to get you to the level that you could purchase him without the addition of further real-world monetary investment. Quickly, players rose up against the company, complained and asked for refunds, even going so far as resulting in a number of countries banning games with microtransactions altogether. In some areas, this was then scaled back to mean that they just had to announce when there was a microtransaction, as well as the statistical likelihood that you were going to get something in, for instance, a loot box. Look at countries like Italy, for example. EA scrambled to release press statements in support of their unique system, and quickly received the most downvoted comment in the history of Reddit. Eventually, EA removed loot boxes completely and conducted an entire overhaul of the progression system. They introduced new modes, heroes, and cosmetics, even going so far as to listen to the player-based consensus and continuing to support the Ewok hunt mode, not hunting Ewoks, being an Ewok and hunting, which was originally supposed to be a timed event, stuck around for the remainder of the game's lifecycle. However, even after all this work was put in to revitalise their reputation, the scars of the microtransactions left behind can still be seen in EA's Star Wars Battlefront 2. Empty loot boxes are awarded to players, and a now void in-game currency haunts the battlefield. Number 2, Rainbow Six Siege. In 2015, Ubisoft released the newest addition to the Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six series, titled Siege, which landed with very little splash. If you want to know some of the behind-the-scenes reasons that the game sort of failed to grab the attention of the audience, go and check out yet again our top 5 cancelled games video for the backstory on Rainbow Six Siege and the previously titled Rainbow Six Patriots. Perfectly timed breaches and rappelling into buildings were flashy enough to get the pre-recorded demo some traction. But cheaters, temperamental servers, bugs in the game, and little variety in gameplay modes or maps for a multiplayer-focused game suggested the potential for imminent failure. But there was potential. It was a diamond in the rough as far as Ubisoft were concerned. They took the destructible physics, tactical gameplay, and team composition strategy and padded it out a little bit further. In short, they expanded on their best features and fixed the worst. New servers were found, the anti-cheat software BattleEye was employed, and the game took on a seasonal rollout approach, creating new operation after new operation, building it to this competitive powerhouse it continues to be today in 2021. Number 1, No Man's Sky. Possibly the most contentious item on this list is No Man's Sky, who from the outset of development was being heralded as a possible game changer for the video game industry. Propped up prior to its release with the promise of millions upon millions of planets, unique alien life and animals to interact with, all procedurally generated, the game struggled to live up to these lofty ideals. At the time of the teaser trailer release, developers Hello Games were a 4-person team, and their name began to be passed around the indie video game circles. Players were eager to get a shot at its reported 18 quintillion unique planets. Comparisons to an industry shift similar to Minecraft were blown out of proportion, with the Atlantic's David Sims being one of the few to note Minecraft did this over years, while No Man's Sky was being expected to have such an impact immediately. While lampooned for making promises that they could not keep, members of the Hello Games development staff stated that they had been reasonably open and honest about what the game is throughout their marketing. That being said, the gaudy and near impossible 18 quintillion planets number did in fact come from their own reporting and a feud that they had with fans online. After several delays, the game was eventually released in 2016, and immediately fans were upset, up in arms, and complaining that this is not the game that they had been promised. The gameplay was repetitive and there was no multiplayer feature as a result of the sheer size of the in-game world. The people demanded refunds, there were complaints on social media, and some went ridiculously far to send death threats to the Hello Games offices. However, the game has made a striking recovery, and since its release has brought out several different updates to gameplay and overall player enjoyment. Namely, there's now a central hub that players can interact with one another in, a set of new unique flora and fauna, and variations in the core gameplay loop found throughout. The gaming community on a whole definitely still has a sour taste in their mouths when it comes to No Man's Sky, but the game has developed a dedicated following of at least 9,000 regular players on a monthly basis as of April 2021, and that's on Steam alone, doesn't include console releases. With the release of next-gen consoles, VR compatibility, and regular updates from Hello Games, the future looks bright for No Man's Sky. I've been Sam from R-CADE Glasgow, and while this video might have bombed to begin with, I think I've made a striking comeback. If you want to see other members of the R-CADE Glasgow crew, you can check out our Twitches at twitch.tv/R-CADE Glasgow or twitch.tv/RCADE You can support the entire staff over at patreon.com/R-CADE Glasgow, and you can catch us on all of the different social media accounts for the shop known as R-CADE Glasgow. Thank you so much for watching this video. Share it with a friend that you think might like some of these games or some of these stories, and make sure to subscribe. I've been Sam, and you've had a great start to an even better day.